Hospice and palliative care. Objectives. List 3 facts about veteran demographics and deaths. Define veteran-centered care. Differentiate between palliative care and hospice. Describe your role in addressing the psychosocial, emotional, and spiritual needs of veterans. Veteran demographics. There are 22 million U.S. veterans. More than 6.3 million veterans are cared for at the VA facility every year. Veterans who receive VA care, more than 44% are over age 65. More than 21% are 75 or older. More than 1.4 million living veterans are 85 or older. Volume of veteran deaths. More than 50,000 veterans die every month. That's 600,000 a year. At least 400 World War II veterans die each day. Veteran deaths account for approximately 1 in 4 of all deaths in the United States. Less than 3.5% of veteran deaths, 20,000 a year, occur in VA inpatient settings. Veteran-centered care. The mission of VA's Hospice and Palliative Care program is to honor veterans' preferences for care at the end of life. Consider 3 essential questions for the veteran. Are you comfortable? What matters most to you? What are your wishes? Connecting through story. Stories are where history and truth reside, and veteran-centered care begins. We honor their stories by listening, understanding, and affirming. Hospice and palliative care is veteran-centered care. Both palliative care and hospice are provided to the veteran and family by an interdisciplinary team with the goal of preventing and relieving suffering and supporting quality of life. But there are differences. Palliative care. It can begin at the time of life-threatening diagnosis with no limit on prognosis. The veteran can receive palliative care along with life-prolonging treatments. The veteran can access palliative care at any time. It balances comfort measures and curative treatments. It is specialized medical care for people living with advanced chronic or serious illness. Hospice. It can begin when the veteran has a limited prognosis of 6 months or less to live. The veteran chooses not to receive aggressive interventions to prolong life. The veteran can choose to receive hospice care. The focus shifts to comfort care rather than cure. It provides aggressive symptom control and supportive services. All hospice care is palliative, but not all palliative care is hospice. Key domains of quality veteran-centered care: physical, social, psychological, and spiritual. All these lead to the quality of life. Evaluation of hospice and palliative care bereaved family survey. Our goal is to provide excellent care. The Bereaved Family Survey evaluates the quality of end-of-life care based on the responses from veterans next of kin regarding the care their loved one received in the last month of life. You have a copy of the 17 questions. Take a moment to imagine how you might respond if asked to evaluate the care a loved one of yours received, even if it wasn't at the end of life.
Before myself and my family decided this was the way to go.
You don't have a boyfriend.
Boyfriend, good to see you on TV.
I don't have a boyfriend. Just Daniel.
I think he really wanted to live as long as he could live.
They thinking, oh, he's gonna leave us this time, and he was like a cat with 9 lives.
He had a really special relationship with Dr. Perry-Coyle. I think it was that real trust that was established early on.
When he came to me, his thought was he had 6 months to live. His sense was, I'm here to be referred to hospice care. Hospice means I have to die, right? He wouldn't believe me when I told him that he was going to be around for a while, and that's how it started off as a joke between us, saying, I'll just have to pull out my video camera and show it to you so that 6 months from now, you're actually going to be here. You're welcome at any time to quit.
We don't do that.
Well, maybe quit is the wrong word. You're welcome to withdraw your participation anytime.
Gotcha.
You don't get nervous in front of the camera.
Not too bad.
He just came in for us to take care of his pain.
He left a couple of times and went home, and then he'd come back for a tune-up.
I tell my friends, you know, the care that I get here, and they can't believe it. I just wish that more guys knew about the program, because I know a lot of guys that would benefit from it. Feels good when Carly's over with me, my baby girl.
How do you feel today, Papa?
I feel good today.
And he's polishing his scooter, which means he's having a really good day today. Yay! Papa took you on a scooter ride. And here comes Carly. Say hi, Carly.
Hi.
And here comes Papa.
I'm really close to my grandchildren, and something you'd have to be around to see, but I really, really like being around the kids. And I've got a daughter that I'm very attached to that does just about everything for me. I don't know what I'd do without Kelly. It's been a long, long time since I was in the service. I got out in 1954. But I was a minesweep sailor. I was on 5 different minesweepers cutting mines most of the time. The very first day that we got to Korea, the ship they were putting me on, an LST, was under fire and I was petrified. I'd never been out of my hometown, let alone over in Korea. I had just turned 17 years old. In those days, I had a record. I could hold my breath for over 5 minutes with no kind of assistance whatsoever. You never go under alone anyhow. You always use a buddy system. Well, it just so happened that 2 guys were with me. Both had circumstances they had to get up, and I was down there by myself, hung up. My diving gear hooked up on a bolt under the bottom of the ship. Before they came down and got me, I was out cold. That's what I told you when I first met you, why I was so afraid of dying of suffocation. Because that was the most ungodly experience I ever went through in my life.
He was a ladies' man, not a bad-looking guy.
I know he loves women.
I was married 9 times, and I had 11 children. And it's hard for me to realize today that it's actually factual. In fact, it's pretty much of a funny thing in our family that gets talked about a lot. Every day that I get a day older, I got more feelings about mistakes that I made and people that I mistreated. But particularly when I used alcohol, that was a double whammy, because I got violent. And I'd end up in jail or in the hospital invariably every time. I've been in jail so many times that I couldn't even begin to count them. I'm lucky to be alive by the same token, really lucky to be alive. There's one particular incident that I always go back to almost 99% of the time. It's an incident that I don't care to talk about that took place that involved me in a killing of a young person. And invariably, my dream will start with that, with the explosion and the person being killed. And me just completely being just out of it, completely tore up. For days and days and days, I couldn't even function. It was all I could do my duties.
That incident, it took him a very long time to feel comfortable enough with me to tell me about it. He had never told anyone about it in, I don't know, like 30 years of all the therapy and training that he had had.
My first wife and I couldn't have children. And in the zone that I was in, there were a lot of Koreans that weren't on one side or the other that would come out to the ship on a daily basis and beg for food. There was this little 6-year-old that would come out all the time and actually come aboard the boat with us and visit with me mostly more than anything. And I got it made up in my mind to try to adopt that child. She had no family. Nobody took care of her. She took care of herself at 6 years old. And I would see that she could get food as much as she could possibly get. And a lot of the guys helped me and knew what I was doing. The commanding officer on the ship was trying to process the paperwork for me, so when I was discharged, I could actually get custody of that child. We had a couple of destroyers, the battleship, and we were just sitting dormant, and she was alongside the boat with me. Some gook went in a sampan alongside of another minesweeper and threw a hand grenade up on deck and killed 2 soldiers. So I told her, I said, she was in a little boat by herself, get shore right away, there's going to be awful stuff's going to go on here, get out of here. So she started heading for shore. They cut loose on every small boat that was out there, and with me watching her 25 yards, 30 yards away, they blew her to pieces, to smithereens. There wasn't a piece of that boat or her in the water any smaller than that, BJ. I dream about it constantly. It lives with me every single stinking day of my life. I can't get over it. You wanted to know about what it is, that's what it was. I'm not over it today.
Decided he would share the story with his daughter, Kelly.
Long before you were born. I was just 18 years old in Korea.
And the 3 of us would do a little memorial in memory of her death. She would now become part of our hospice unit, and her ribbon would be part of our collection of all of the people that we had cared for.
I'm telling you, VJ, it really made a difference talking to you about it. It really did. I go to VFW meetings, and 99% of the people there when I first started going didn't even know what palliative care was. They never heard of it. And the more I've talked to people, the fewer people that I find that even know it exists. So they find me talking about it constantly, in fact, probably overdoing it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
He told me about his wife, his daughter Kelly's mother. They remarried over in Menlo Park before he came back here. All he was worried about was her being taken care of when he died.
You make it?
I hope so.
Jim, will you have Wanda to be your wife, and do you promise to love her faithfully as long as you both shall live?
Absolutely.
Find delight in each other always, and remain faithful until your life's end. Amen.
Don't forget to kiss my bride.
Oh, kiss the bride. Yes, yes, yes.
We've got a lovely little family that I feel we're kind of putting back together, and it makes me feel really good.
It was towards the end of life that it was more difficult with his breathing.
Even in the last couple days of his life, I really didn't want to film him because he was far gone, but he would have none of it. He wanted to keep talking, and he wanted the camera there, and he would get upset because he kept telling me that, see, you're going back on your word. You promised me that we would see this through to the end. To me, it feels like you're getting more tired.
I don't particularly feel real tired, but if you
When have you ever admitted to being tired, Mr. Cooper?
I'm not going to say I'm tired, but I got a whole lot more to say. I was here and treated like the king with every kind of medication that a human being could ask for. There couldn't be any better medical treatment anywhere in the world. I don't care where it was. Say about the parts of my life that are good and the parts that have been bad. This was my to show benefit to my comrades, the fellows that I served with. This was my way of showing them how it comes down.
Excellent veteran-centered care. Jim Cooper could be any veteran you meet during the course of your day and the work you do. 6 years. Think about the number of people who had an impact on Jim Cooper's life. What impact will you have on the care veterans receive? If you have any questions about hospice or palliative care, please feel free to contact your PCCT coordinator. If you do not know your PCCT coordinator, you can call your medical center operator and ask for the Hospice and Palliative Care program. Thank you for watching the video. Please complete the lesson by taking the test.